In my criticisms of the Elemental Bear, a number of people pointed out that if you get good value from the breath attacks, the unit becomes quite a bit better, and I do agree with that. Recently, I kind of had a rethink about the Elemental Bear, started treating it more like the Chill of Sontar Regiment of Renown Hydra for the Dark Elves back in Warhammer 2. It does share a number of similarities. It is more expensive at 2,200 points rather than what is the Chill of Sontar, like 1950, something like that. Has worse melee attack and defense, but better weapon strength, and of course is unbreakable, whereas the Hydra has relatively poor leadership, all things considered, even though the Chill of Sontar, of course, is a Regiment of Renown, so definitely less so, but both obviously have Frostbite. I don't remember if the Chill of Sontar has magical attacks. I don't think it does, but that is another point in the Elemental Bear's favor. Is that unbreakable, extra magic attacks, and better weapon strength worth the extra cost and worse melee stats, though? In my opinion, no. I think if this thing were about 1950 to 2,000 points, it would be quite a bit better, more on par with the Chill of Sontar in terms of cost, because I do think their power level is pretty similar, to be honest. Chill of Sontar does have less HP overall, but does have regeneration, of course, as well. Anyway, for today, I'm going to be up against Khorne. Achilles coming in once again with a heavy Scarbrand, opening with 2 Cultists, and then 1 Bloodletter, 1 Exalted Bloodletter, 4 Halberd Warriors, and 3 more Bloodletters in reserve, with 4 Fleshhounds and 4 Furies. Pretty solid build overall. Honestly, the Halberds and the Bloodletters are the infantry type that you want against Kislev. Bloodletters, just great offensive output in general. Good AP means they'll trade well against pretty much all Kislev infantry, and even the cavalry and war sleds to a degree as well. Same thing with the halberds. They'll trade better against the large, obviously, and not so well against the infantry, but it's still okay. Meanwhile, for myself, starting with Boris, anti-large AP on the bear, quite a formidable combatant as well, backed up by Patriarch to heal and provide that vigor refresh. We've got a couple of light war sleds, armored Kossars with spears, and horse archers. And then, of course, the bear in reserve, the big elemental bear, some war riders, Frost Maiden, 3 winged lancers, 1 Kossar great weapon, 3 Kossar spears, and 2 regular Kossars as well. So let's jump in, have some fun with the elemental bear as a reserve unit, although I'm going to try and bring it on relatively quickly. Obviously, I don't know that he's going to bring Scarbrand initially, but once I do see him, I'm actually going to save up and bring the Elemental Bear out as one of my first unit summons, which will take me a substantial amount of time. Thankfully, Kislev's hybrid nature means that I have the ability to come in here and skirmish a little bit, provide some ranged fire, kind of maybe charge, bait back, feint in and out, you know, do a little bit of maneuvering to try and get, just buy time, right, to get the enough supply to summon in big boy. But anyway, Scarbrand's going to come in here, and the hybrid nature of Kislev likewise, although, I mean, I guess the sleds do have actual AP shooting attacks. They don't do a crazy amount of damage, but it is pretty substantial. The armored Kossars, although it's not technically AP, they do 7 AP per shot with their pistols, which is pretty heavy. The Kossars also, for bows, pretty good AP. 3 is definitely not bad. Nothing to scoff at by any means. Same thing with these horse archers, also 3 AP per shot. It's not crazy good, but I mean, Scarbrand, 90 armor is great, but it is within the range that a good amount of that non-armor piercing damage can get through, depending on the dice roll. So Scarbrand's going to have to be careful here, and Achilles is going to do his best to try and dodge these shots as we kind of advance, but Scarbrand, he's such a big target with his wingspan. I don't know exactly how the hitbox works. I haven't done enough testing, but it seems big enough that he's going to get contacted by quite a few of the missiles there. A little bit of a breath attack in the center. Doesn't actually kill off any of those armored Kossars. Does get a couple of the Kossar spears, though. But just overwhelming fire, especially once those pistols open up. It's going to be pretty nasty. Boris getting a little bit of a buggy bear charge. Definitely chasing that foul cultist away. Oh, yeah, that nice blue uniform of Boris. Man, he is a thick boy. Gotta love the Streltsy as well. Mounted up in the back of those light war sleds. The sleds just kind of distracting. Again, mostly just buying time and dealing missile damage to Scarbrand. Big ol' Scarbro is just such a big target, like I said, and he's very expensive. Can be insanely powerful, but against the factions with really strong missile play, he's a little bit risky. Like, he does require a lot of investment in terms of micro to use effectively. And here, even though you might not think any of these units are necessarily individually threatening, all together, it's just a lot of resources to be shooting at Skarbrand. You can see the bear has been summoned in the distance there. And Boris getting a huge drain in the center with his item. Forget the name of the actual item here. This Shard Blade, that's it. A really strong area of effect damage there in a tight pocket. Just absolutely destroys the blob. Skarbrand's still alive, though. And the sleds have taken a substantial amount of damage in that fight. I mean, the Exalted Bloodletters, regular Bloodletters, the offensive output, even against a unit which is in some ways designed to counter them, still very legitimate. But anyway, we're going to maneuver the Elemental Bear up and around the flank to try and get a breath attack into the side of this formation here. See if we can get some good value that way. This is not a great engagement for me, just countercharging the Flesh Hounds with the sleds, Dread sleds, but I don't really have a lot else to do. I mean, I guess I could have charged down into the Bloodletters and got rear charged there, but don't know how much better that would have gone exactly. That being said, I've not secured any objectives so far. The objective in the center is being heavily contested, and my opponent, Achilles, is capturing objective number 3, so I'm going to move up some Kossars and some armored Kossars with great weapons to secure this high ground objective on my home turf. Meanwhile, in the center, if we check back on things, in fights kind of actually turning against me a little bit here. The Elemental Bear tries to come in to bail things out. Kossars with spears just desperately holding on here as the last infantry support. Oh no, the Patriarch. Wow, buggy death animation as he goes flying off of his bear and keels over. Skarbrand's going to pay the price, though, as Boris pops his Stand Your Ground, Fury of Urson as well. That Stand Your Ground in particular is great synergy as it does help the Elemental Bear with one of its main weaknesses, right? That low melee defense, and in general, both the Patriarch and Boris do provide pretty nice support for the Elemental Bear. Of course, loss of the Patriarch is going to be an issue. I know now don't have a reliable way of healing the Elemental Bear unless I resummon that Patriarch, and I also still need to summon in my caster as well at some point, so gonna be a bit tricky, but let's see how we can do. Boris there takes a little bit of rear charge from the Cultist, and the Elemental Bear is definitely taking damage in melee so far, but that breath attack and the melee damage, definitely not great, especially considering it's 2,200 points and it's almost down to 50% HP already, but manages to finish off the Cultist there. Winged Hussars arrive for some support after having finished off some of those Flesh Hounds. And, yeah, I mean, just the few remaining sleds and the Winged Hussars with their yellow color scheme. I forget exactly what banner. Is this the Great Orthodoxy? I didn't realize they actually have, like, yellow uniforms. But anyway, that is going to help provide a little bit of extra terror punch here. But, man, look at how fast those halberds deal damage as well. Boris dropping another big Shard Blade here. Does a pretty good amount of blob damage. Maybe not as much as I would have wanted, but he's getting low enough at this point that I kind of just need to do whatever I can. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of using it like the Hydra. You pull back, get a breath attack, charge back in. Obviously, you don't have the regeneration, but a brutal side shot breath attack there through those halberds generates some really nice value. Up to 100 kills, 1364, so yeah, I mean, ideally, with the Patriarch alive, you could be healing and providing Vigor Refresh and melee attack as the Big Bear cycle charges in and out. And obviously against fast factions, which Khorne can play very fast, but with this more static infantry style of play, the Bear definitely has the ability to cycle in and out. Boris gets dragged down by the Flesh Hounds and Halberds there. Both of us now down quite a bit of value. Honestly, in terms of trade, it's probably pretty even at the end of the day. Still some forces over here securing the high ground, but with the Bear and the infantry sort of winning the day. Winged Lancers also providing some nice support in here. It's enough. It's enough to secure the center objective, so we're able to hold for the time being. Let's see if the Elemental Bear can continue to hold. We're going to get it back out of combat in a position to try and breathe icy death back into the spicy Khorne warriors. More stuff being summoned over on the far side there. We've got some more Flesh Hounds being brought in. The Furies also coming in and routing off the Kossars. So suddenly the Bear's here all by its lonesome. Another breath attack, though, right through the center. Going to hit both of these units of infantry here. The Bloodletters and the Halberds both getting frostbitten and taking a little bit of damage. Now we're also going to start to throw in some magic because I've summoned in my Frost Maiden. I'm going to actually quickly cancel that Heart of Winter, put in a Frost Blades. As these Winged Lancers charge in, they're going to do a devastating amount of damage to these Bloodletters with that extra melee attack, weapon damage, and of course the magic damage in particular, just being able to cut through the physical resistance. Up to 50 melee attack too is pretty crazy. So yeah, Bloodletters get dragged down, then the Heart of Winter comes out to just wreck these Chaos Warriors, the other tattered Chaos Warriors, trying to reinforce, keep the capture weight on the point. But as the Heart of Winter charges up, you can see they decide, you know, maybe we'll just stand right outside of the area of effect of that nasty, nasty spell. Try and get in and get at the Elemental Bear, but of course the Ice Maiden, the Frost Maiden here on the bear, also has armor-piercing melee attack, so she can get in with the help of the big bear, get a little bit of work done against these warriors. She doesn't want to stay in combat for too long, but together they can certainly get some work done. And it's better to have these two single entities fighting, especially against these tattered Chaos Warrior units, which are very prone to terror routing. Another little rear charge here from the Winged Lancers. Should proc a terror route. Mass terror out. Oh, maybe not. One of those units is still hanging on. Likewise, a Flesh Hound sweeping up and around, not capturing the objective number one, but instead just diving in here. As a point of sort of coaching to my patron, it may have been worth it to just keep the Flesh Hounds up here and try and pressure me on this capture point. Maybe drag some of these forces back away, because this center fight I've managed to pull ahead pretty decisively on now. Brought the Horse Archers back out just for some additional support. Chase some routing units here. Big Bear, if we check in with him, has just about paid for himself. Not quite yet, but getting close to 2,000 damage value. More Frost Blades on those Winged Lancers as they chase down the Flesh Hounds. I'm more and more becoming a fan of Kislev's magic lores. I definitely think in this particular matchup, although the Lore of Ice passive isn't particularly useful, it is quite nice to have. Frost Blades in general just helping your units trade effectively. A lot of Khorne units actually do lack defensive stats, so if you can hit them hard in return, oftentimes they don't completely love it. Obviously, you probably still, even with buffs, don't want to be taking a lot of direct 1v1s, but it does help swing things in your favor when you can try and get those favorable engagements. Let's continue to move forward here. I'll maybe do a little bit of fast forwarding as I kind of clean up some routing units. We've got the two cultists still fighting, resummoned back in. I've also resummoned the Patriarch just to heal Big Bear a little bit more. We're going to get the 2 more Bloodletter summons and 2 more actual units of Bloodletters, the regular Bloodletters and Exalteds even. The Halberd's also up on the high ground. Probably could have got brought down a little earlier to try and help capture this center objective, but at this point, Achilles is going to have to 3-cap me. It's very unlikely he's going to be able to do so, but let's just see how much value the Big Bear can get back at this point. Really nice double support charge, just enveloping all of these Bloodletters, despite how strong they are. Just a brutal engagement for Khorne there, with everything all together. Bear is still taking damage, though, even with those demons disintegrating. The amount of damage that the Big Bear is taking is quite alarming, but still ticking up his own damage counter as well, well above 2,500 at this point. Definitely has paid for himself. Their big Heart of Winter going to be dropped here. Khorne's spell resistance will help somewhat, but it still should get some damage through. Every little bit helps, certainly. Kossars with their great maces here. Two-handed maces are certainly going to appreciate the support, especially since Heart of Winter doesn't deal any damage to them. Being a direct damage spell does make it quite strong as far as area of effect damage spells go, even though it does take a good amount of time to deal its damage, especially once it ticks up to the higher stages. Then it will be dealing a substantial amount of damage, as you can see there, but doesn't prevent those Kossars from getting absolutely destroyed. Also doesn't prevent the Big Bear from completely running rampant. I guess it doesn't really make sense to say prevent there, but anyway, you know what I mean. Such cool animations, man. And I'm glad that it's mildly useful in specific situations. Certainly if it's not going to get shot at, and you can support it well in melee engagements, and keep a mobility advantage and the ability to cycle charge with it, then you can use the bear effectively in Domination. Yes, this is probably the best game with the Elemental Bear I've had in Domination so far. Seen it perform pretty well in land battle, but typically it's struggled in this mode from what I've seen. Maybe it has a place in this matchup, although I do think potentially it can get outclassed here. As long as you can deal with the mobile pressure, which I definitely think that the buffs plus the Winged Lancers are a pretty good counter. You can see 2 Winged Lancers actually pay for themselves here. The other one doesn't quite get the opportunity to, but credit to Frost Maiden with a little bit of Frost Blades there. And just in general, they're one of the few units in the game currently in Total War Warhammer 3 that will trade well, even without buffs, reasonably well against Flesh Hounds. So definitely it's them combined with this guy so that he can then cycle charge the infantry, pull back, get his breath attacks. Worked out pretty well in my favor. Love the pick of the Bloodletters. They do end up doing quite a bit of damage, even if they get resummoned multiple times. Losing Scarbrand early is pretty rough. Like I said, he's quite the investment against those strong missile factions, which I would definitely put Kislev in that category. It can be a little bit risky. He can be pretty tough for Kislev to deal with if they end up getting their missiles harassed. I think it would have just been obviously smarter to just keep him back and well out of range of the missiles until you can get some more mobile harass, just because this build is relatively narrow, relatively tall to start with. You would maybe want to option this one Bloodletter out for just a couple of regular Warhounds, perhaps. I'm not really sure. Hard to say. Or maybe just wait till you can get a couple of Flesh Hounds and Furies summoned out to at least tie down those missile units while Scarbrand charges in and starts to wreck the entire shop. But anyway, the rest of the Khorne army here, Halberd's getting some massive value back. Probably resummoned multiple times, but they're great in this matchup. The Halberd Bloodletter combination for infantry is very strong. You know, it's interesting. If he had taken, like, let's say, the Herald plus maybe an extra couple of units, would that be better than Scarbrand? Personally, I think probably. Like, yes, Boris is very scary, and you're probably going to have to fight him in this matchup. But just in general, I would say against the factions where you're not going to have to fight a big, scary demon, generally, I find that the Herald is more cost-effective. You can take him on its Juggernaut mount, and he's pretty cheap, all things considered. Also has these really nice melee attack buffs, which are quite good at helping your Khorne units just trade that much better with Kislev. Like Flesh Hounds, obviously, trading into something like Winged Lancers. So, I mean, just for cost comparison, 1550, and I don't remember exactly what kind of kit he had on Scarbrand, but the kit I would normally take with Scarbrand would be to take almost everything. I might drop Fueled with Rage. I might take it, but I mean, that's a substantial, I mean, it's more than double the cost, right, of the Herald, so just keep that in mind. And we did kind of talk about this after the game as well, but with the Herald, he could have taken, you know, an extra couple of units, whether that's some Flesh Hounds in your starting army to give you some extra mobility, which is honestly probably a pretty good idea. Maybe you take some extra... let's calculate the cost in my head, which is definitely not my strong suit. You'd maybe have enough for one more after cutting them, and then obviously you have a little bit more funds in your reinforcement pool as well, so if you're not taking your Flesh Hounds. Or you could just come in here and tank up on infantry. Lots of Bloodletters in your starting army might also be pretty strong. Hard to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.